Hey there, explorers! Welcome back to yet another video in Map Magics. Today, we're going to be diving into something that sounds tricky, but I promise it's way easier than finding your socks in the morning. We have heard that you, grade 10, have been struggling on how to calculate the exact location of featured in degrees, minutes, and seconds on a topographic map. And so my friend Sikelelo and I have put together a simple estimation that is not only going to teach you how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds, but also it'll make you enjoy this section of map work. So let's get into it. But wait, before we get into the calculations, let us look at a few fun facts regarding degrees, minutes, and seconds. So, what are degrees, minutes, and seconds? Let's think of it as slicing a pizza. An entire full pizza is equal to 1 degree, and this degree is cut into 60 even pieces. Each piece represents 1 minute, and each minute is equal to 60 seconds. So, what is the degree symbol? We can know that the degree symbol is a small circle to the top right of a number, and we can tell the degree of a location by looking at which latitude and longitude line it falls in. What is the symbol for a minute? It is a small stroke similar to an apostrophe, once again to the top right of a number. We can find the minute of a location by looking at which minute line this location falls in. And the symbol for seconds is a double stroke to the top right of a number. We will always have two sets of coordinates, one for the latitudinal position and one for the longitudinal position. At the end of each coordinate, we will have a compass direction. This tells us whether the feature is to the north or south of the equator and the east or west of the prime meridian. For South African maps, which is the type of map that you will deal with mostly, the latitudinal compass direction will always be south, and the longitudinal position will always be east. So now that we have these fun facts down, we can jump into the calculations. And I'm going to hand you over to my trusted explorer, Sikilelo, and he is going to take us through how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to break this down into simple steps. We will be using the map of Graaff-Reinet, South Africa. Okay, now the first step you have to do is to locate your feature. The feature we will be using is spot height 821, which is found in block D1. It's spot height 821, which is found in block D1. Now, how do we see block D1? We first look at the alphabet next to our feature and then the number in which the column our feature is found in. That is how we see block D1. Okay, so now that we've determined our feature that we will be using, we will then move to calculating the latitude. First, you always have to start with a latitude. To get the degree and minutes, we will look to the left-hand corner up to the left-hand corner, and they will always be given to us. So here we can see that the degree for our latitude is 32 degrees. Okay, so now that we've found our degree, which is 32, we'll then move on to find our minute. We'll find what our minute is by looking at which minute line of latitude our feature falls in. So we can see that our minute lines are labeled for us. However, if they were not, we can just count from the given minute, which is 15, 16, 17, 18, 15, and then 20. We just count down from the top to the bottom. Each line represents its own minute, and that's 17, and that's 18, in which our feature is located. Our feature is located 32 degrees, 18 minutes. So far, we still have to calculate seconds. And then we will go ahead and write that down as 18 minutes. Now, minutes always represented by an apostrophe. Okay, so now that we found what our minute is, we'll then need to calculate seconds. Now, seconds always come after the minutes, and they are always represented by 2 apostrophes. That is a very important feature to not forget. 2 apostrophes. Okay, now for calculating seconds, we always need a ruler. We always have to have a ruler. Okay, we will start from the top of the block that has the feature to the bottom and measure to the bottom. Okay, that was just me making sure that it is correct. Okay, and it is 32 millimeters. We always have to use millimeters just because it's not complicated and you have to convert. And then we measure from the top of the block to the feature itself. And then the distance is 15 millimeters. And now, after you've calculated you've measured your distance, you always have to multiply by 60. Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna say 15 divided by 32 times 60, which will give us 28,125. Now it's going to give us 28,125, which we will round off to the nearest whole number. You always have to round off to the nearest whole number. In this case, our nearest whole number is 28. Now you have your coordinates. Okay, now guys, because we started with latitude, which is what we must always do. At the end of our coordinates, we must write an S. This is a very important feature, an S for south. This is because these coordinates are for latitude. The S represents south for latitude. Okay, now that we are done with latitude, we will then move on to longitude, the lines that go from the top to the bottom. Okay, we will first determine, we will write down longitude to represent what we are calculating. Okay, the first thing you're going to have to do is to look at the degrees, just like we did with latitude. You're going to look at your degrees. And in this case, the degree that we're going to be using is 24, because it is the one that our feature is located at. It is 24 degrees, and we are going to go ahead and write that down. 24 degrees. Now that our degree is sorted, we've found it, it's 24 degrees, we are going to have to move on and find our minutes, which are always represented by 1 apostrophe. When we write it down, they always have 1 apostrophe. Okay, just like latitude, our minutes, just like the line of latitude, longitude, the minutes in longitude are counting going forward. Okay, we have 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 at the end. Okay, it's always counting. If they unlabel for us, we could just label it ourselves with a pencil to make it our work easier. Okay, so our spot height or our feature that we'll be locating is, it is at 30 minutes. And we will go ahead and write that down. It's at 30 minutes because it's at the first line, which it's where it's found. And when you're done with that, we are going to be moving forward to our seconds. Now, it's still the same process as the one we used when we were calculating our latitude, but in this case, we aren't going from top to bottom at the block. We're going from left to the right. Okay, we are going to measure from the left at the start of the left block to the end of the at the start of the block from the left to the right. Okay, and our distance is 29 millimeters. Our distance is 29 millimeters, and we are going to write that down. And then we'll move on to calculating from the start of the block to the feature itself. Now, guys, we always have to use the dots. We always have to use the dots. Don't start at the number. Start at the dot. Yes. And that was just me making sure it's correct. And our distance from the start to the feature itself is 20 millimeters. Okay, and we are going to write 20 millimeters at the top of 29 millimeters because we are dividing. And then we multiply by 60. Okay, now we have to type in the calculator. It is 20 divided by 29 multiplied by 60, which gives us 41,379. We are just going to write the first three numbers after the comma. Okay. 7. And then we will round off because we cannot write the whole number after the comma. We have to write just one whole number. And it is 41 seconds. Just like we did with latitude, putting south, longitude, we always put an E for east at the end of our coordinates. We must always put an E for east. It's going to be 24 degrees, 30 minutes, 41 seconds east because it is longitude. Just like we did with south, we must always put an E at the end. That is a very important part, guys. Do not forget it. And we have our coordinates for spot height 821, which are 32 degrees, 18 minutes, 28 seconds south, and 24 degrees, 30 minutes, 41 seconds east. For spot height 821, which is located in D1 of the Graph Reinet South African map. Okay, so guys, sometimes we find that we have seconds that are over 59, and that is not correct. Our seconds must not pass 59. If they ever are 59 plus, we must subtract 60 from the number. Okay, for example, we have 74 seconds that we got after we were calculating them. Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna say 74 minus 60. And your answer is going to be, let's just go ahead and type that in the calculator. It's going to be 74 minus 60. Okay, our answer is 14. Okay, 14 seconds. Now you're gonna ask yourself, what happened to the 60? Okay, now guys, let's have an example. Our degrees, we have coordinates. Degrees are 32 degrees, 29 minutes. Okay, and we want seconds. Okay, now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna take our minutes and plus them with 1, because 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. Okay, 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. That's a very important conversion. 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute. Now, because we subtracted from 74, the 60 that we subtracted is going to be converted to 1 minute, and we're going to plus that 1 minute with 29 minutes, and it's going to be 30 minutes. Okay, it's going to be 30 minutes, and we're going to take the 14 seconds and we're going to write our coordinates down as 32 degrees, 30 minutes. That was me making a mistake. 32 degrees, 30 minutes, and 14 seconds.
And so that, learners, is how you calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds on a topographic map. However, it is important to note that in some cases, we could have seconds or minutes that are over 59 seconds. Like I mentioned earlier, 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And so, if you have seconds that are over 59, that will mean that you will have to carry over 1 minute into the minute section. For example, if you have 62 seconds, then you will have to subtract 60 from 62, which will leave you with 2 seconds, and you will add 1 degree to your minute. So if in your minute section you had 12 minutes, once you add 1 more minute, it will now be 13 minutes and 2 seconds. The same applies for your minutes. If you have a minute that is over 59, then you will have to subtract 60 and add it to your degree. For example, if you have 63 minutes, you will have to subtract 60 from 63, leaving you with 3 minutes. And if your degree was 24, your degree will now be 25. Always remember, when calculating degrees, minutes, and seconds, you must never have a minute or second over 59. Now, we often get the question, why is it important to know how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds? Well, it is important to know how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds for several reasons. The first and most important reason is that knowing how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds on a topographic map is easy for helping us to pinpoint the exact location of places on Earth. So, for example, if you wanted to find the exact location of a prison on the Earth's surface, then you would be able to look at its coordinates in degrees, minutes, and seconds. Another reason why it is important to know how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds is because it will help you to figure out how near or far one feature is from the next. So, if you were out camping and you wanted to know how far a certain hill is from urbanized areas, then you would be able to look at the degrees, minutes, and seconds and compare. And those are only two of the many reasons why degrees, minutes, and seconds are important for you to know. And that grade 10 brings us to the end of our video on how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds of locations and features on a topographic map. We hope that this video has helped you learn how to calculate degrees, minutes, and seconds in the simplest and most exciting way possible. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and if you have any more questions regarding the things that have been taught in this video, please drop a comment in the section below. We would love to hear from you, and we wish you all the map magic in the world. Good luck, explorers. Thank you. Goodbye.